The Maximum Happiness and Wellbeing course, Part 1, Session 6, Your Belief Systems. In this session, we'll discover how the beliefs that reside in your mind dramatically improve or impair your experience of happiness. We'll learn how to improve our belief systems and how to eliminate self-limiting, destructive and negative beliefs. A quote from Tony Robbins says, "Your beliefs and values control every decision in your life. You can either choose beliefs that limit you or beliefs that empower you to move towards success. Your beliefs energize you to create the world you want to live in right now." Your belief systems. A belief is not merely an idea that the mind possesses. It's an idea that possesses the mind. There is a strong unconscious drive to behave consistently in accordance with our beliefs. Our beliefs will stop us from trying certain things, or they affect our results and therefore our ultimate happiness in different ways. Whatever we believe with feeling, rightly or wrongly, positively or negatively, becomes our reality. Our beliefs form a filter through which we see our entire world, and we naturally resist allowing information inconsistent with our beliefs to pass through our filter. So even if we have beliefs that are totally inconsistent with reality, because we believe them to be true, they become true for us, and we behave and act in a manner that is consistent with those beliefs. A belief is nothing more than a feeling of absolute certainty that something has a particular meaning to us. Many beliefs we hold on to so tightly are either out of date, no longer serving us, or do not belong to us, having been inherited from others. Beliefs can be positive or negative. They can limit or liberate us. So where do our beliefs come from? Our earliest beliefs stem from childhood. From birth up to the age of 2 years, we believe that anything is possible. You'll learn in the session on self-esteem that we're born with only 2 fears, without the inhibitions that develop later in adulthood. We are born with only 2 fears, a fear of loud noises and a fear of falling. From childhood onward, we slowly begin to adopt and acquire other beliefs inherited from our parents, peers and teachers, and what we see, hear and experience. We believe things when we were children that now seem silly. We all believe things now that we never even thought. Up to 18, we're told no on an average of 5 times a day, and positive things 4 times a year. What type of conditioning is that? What consequences should we expect? Your belief becomes your reality. Perhaps the most powerful single factor in your quest for happiness is your belief about yourself. The law of belief simply says, whatever you intensely believe becomes your reality. We tend to block out any information inconsistent with our reality and beliefs. You always act in a manner consistent with your beliefs. The most important belief system you can build is one of the highest self-worth, where you believe you will achieve your goals. Positive thinking can sometimes be nothing more than wishing or hoping, but positive knowing is knowing that you will be happy and successful no matter what. Control over your thoughts is the hardest exercise in mental self-mastery you'll ever engage in. See if you can talk and think about only what you desire and not talk or think about anything you don't want for 24 hours. Then you'll see what you're really made of. It's a hard thing to do, but with practice you can reach the point where you're thinking about your goals and desires most of the time. Then your whole life will start to change for the better. Imagine yourself already being successful and happy. What obstacles will you have had to overcome? This powerful question gets to the core of how our beliefs influence our thoughts and actions. It's also interesting to consider what's possible when there isn't a belief holding us back. Here's a question for you. What would you do, be and have if you knew that you couldn't fail? For many of us, We don't question or challenge our beliefs. You may not see them as beliefs, but as a lens through which you see the world. The truth is that beliefs are assumptions. They are our assumptions about ourselves and the world around us. They are not facts. When we examine what effect beliefs have, we can see that a domino effect is in place here, and this is illustrated in the course notes. But essentially, the first domino in the chain is your beliefs. The beliefs you have reinforce or discard your values. The combination of beliefs and values result in your thoughts, which, mixed with feelings, become your emotions. From all of this, our expectations are born, which lead to our behavioural patterns and actions. Expectations mixed with behaviour and action create a force of attraction that magnetically attracts the results we experience, good or bad. To change an erroneous or outdated belief, use the perception cycle principle outlined in session 9 of this course. We need to look at the limiting and irrational beliefs that affect our happiness. Let's identify some of the self-limiting beliefs that might exist. We need to understand why we form self-limiting beliefs in the first place and how we act them out. The first example is caught between two decisions. Should I go this way or that? This dilemma can result in nothing being done. The limiting belief here may be, I can't make decisions. The second example is stuck in a mental rut. We may do something in a way that worked in the past. We get frustrated when it doesn't work this time, but we stay with what we know, having bought into the belief as a form of habit. The limiting belief this time may be one of, I can't change. The third example is one of dreaming. Constructive dreaming is useful for attracting goals, but dreams only become reality once some action is taken. The limiting belief here might be, I can do it tomorrow. Fourth example is one of a fatalistic attitude. This bubble has to burst, my luck won't last. The limiting belief here is a general one with self-sabotaging theme. The fifth example is one of outside influence. You'll never do that, you're expecting too much, you'll be disappointed. Don't set your sights too high, then you won't get hurt. Here we're influenced by the beliefs of others, however well intended. To identify a limiting self-belief, a useful exercise is to ask yourself a series of questions. 1. Who are you being right now? 2. What's holding you back? 3. If your life was perfect right now, what would you be doing? And 4. What has brought you to this point? What follows now is a list of common irrational beliefs, some of which you may have experienced and you may still be holding on to. I must be loved or approved by everyone for virtually everything I do. I should be thoroughly competent, adequate and achieving in everything I do. Some people are bad and wicked and should be severely punished. It's terrible when things are not how I want. My happiness is externally caused. I can't control my sorrow or rid myself of negative feelings. If something scares me, I should be preoccupied and upset. It's easier to avoid facing my life difficulties and responsibilities than to undertake more rewarding forms of self-discipline. My past is all important. Because something once strongly affected my life, it should indefinitely do so. People and things should be different from how they are, and it's shattering if perfect solutions to the grim realities of life are not immediately found. Maximum happiness can only be achieved by inactivity and inaction, or by passively enjoying myself. I should always feel happy, confident and in control of my emotions. I must never fail or make a mistake. People will not love and accept me as a flawed and vulnerable human being. I need everybody's approval to be worthwhile. If I'm not loved, then life isn't worth living. If I'm alone, I'll feel miserable and unfulfilled. My worth depends on my achievements, intelligence, status or attractiveness. People who love each other shouldn't fight. I should not feel angry, anxious, inadequate, jealous or vulnerable. People should always be the way I expect them to be. Having listened to each and every one of those irrational beliefs, you can see just how unreasonable and irrational they are. And if you're hanging on to any one of them, you should question yourself about them and look to discard them in favour of more positive alternatives. Transformational exercise number 5, eliminating negative, limiting and irrational beliefs. As you change your thoughts and beliefs, you begin changing your life. Thought is the architect of your destiny. When your mind dwells continually upon one train of thought about an irrational, negative or self-limiting belief, a neural pathway groove forms in the brain into which the thought force runs automatically. Such a habit of thought survives unless and until we replace it with a persistent positive focus. With a committed focus on more positive beliefs, we can replace the negative grooves with ones better designed to serve you and meet your needs. There are 3 sessions within this course that deal specifically with replacing negative, limiting and irrational beliefs and thoughts. And obviously you'll need to refer to those sessions which appear after this session in order to be able to complete this exercise. Session 9 includes the transformative power of the perception cycle, which explains how changing your perceptions or thoughts can improve your results. This is a really useful tool and transformative tool to enable you to change your beliefs. In session 10 you'll find the scientifically proven principle of something called neuroplasticity, which is illustrated to explain how you can change how your brain works. Essentially, when you have a negative thought or a negative belief, it creates a neural pathway in the brain, and these neural pathways with repetition can be replaced by more positive neural pathways, and ultimately what happens then is the negative neural pathways start to wither and fade and are ultimately dissolve when they are replaced by the more positive ones. In session 11 of the course, this explains how to deal with something called the negative bias of the brain and the mind. Our brains are actually hardwired to expect negativity. This goes back to Neanderthal man, and we see it in examples every day in the news where the media throws more negative news at us than positive news, and as a result this has a negative impact upon our brain, so that we start to expect more negativity from life. The negative bias is our tendency to register negative stimuli and dwell on these events more readily than positive ones. Remember that what you think and how you think about something creates the domino effect that we explained earlier. Your challenge is to make that final domino, your results domino, a positive one by replacing any negative first belief dominoes with more positive ones. From childhood onwards, we slowly begin to adopt and acquire other beliefs inherited from our parents, peers, teachers, and what we see, hear and experience. We believe things when we were children, as we've said earlier, that now seem silly. Up to 18, we're told no on average 5 times a day. What type of consequences should we expect from that? Your belief becomes your reality. The most powerful single factor in your quest for happiness is your belief about yourself. Whatever you intensely believe becomes your reality. We block out any information inconsistent with our reality and beliefs. This is a repeat of something that was said earlier in the session, but it's well worth repeating. You always act in a manner consistent with your beliefs. That is why it's necessary to examine those beliefs to determine whether they're still serving you, whether they're still useful, or whether they are detrimental to your happiness and your authenticity. Control over your thoughts is the hardest exercise in self-mastery, but if you can think about what you desire positively and avoid thinking about what you don't want, this will take you on a better journey, and your life will start to change for the better. We'll finish this session on beliefs with a parable that seems to explain the concept of beliefs quite well, I believe. And it's a parable called The Elephant and the Rope. At a circus ground, a man was passing the elephants. He suddenly stopped. He was confused by the fact that there was only a small thin rope holding huge creatures tied by their front leg. No chains, no cages, and it was apparent that the elephants could break away from their bonds at any time, but for some reason they didn't. He saw a trainer nearby and he asked why these animals didn't attempt to escape. Well, the trainer said, when they were very young, we used the same size rope to tie them, and at that age, it's enough to hold them. As they grew up, they were conditioned to believe that they couldn't break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free. The man was amazed. These animals could break free from their bonds at any time, but because they believed they couldn't, they were stuck where they were, in the belief that they inherited as an infant elephant. How many of us go through life believing that we can't do something? How many beliefs have you inherited that no longer serve you? What beliefs represent the rope holding you back? Your beliefs can imprison you or empower you. Break the chains that hold you back to get the life that you deserve.